Welcome to the February episode of County Connection, where we talk about events, programs, and services offered by Summit County government. We have a great show lined up for you this month. We're going to be talking about 2016 open space acquisitions, how to mitigate radon problems in your home, and vacancies on Summit County planning commissions. Thanks for joining us. For our first segment of this February episode of County Connection, we are going to be talking about the accomplishments of our Open Space and Trails program in Summit County in the 2016 fiscal year. And here to shed light on the topic is our Open Space and Trails Department Director, Brian Lorch. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Julie.
And we're delighted to have Turk Montepare, who is the chair of our Open Space Advisory Council or Committee? Council?
What are we?
Council. Okay. And also a longtime Breckenridge resident and founding member of the OSAC. Welcome, Turk.
Thank you so much.
All right, so we're going to talk about everything that the Open Space and Trails program accomplished in 2016, and it is a long list this year.
It would be, yeah.
But Brian, maybe you can start us off by giving us an overview of what the Open Space and Trails Department does.
Sure. So we've been in working for a little over 20 years. We're calling this our 20th year anniversary because it was something that sort of morphed as it went along, but this is basically 20 years since we had our founding documents. And in that time, we've managed to preserve about 16,000 acres of property in Summit County. Some of that is through conservation easements, but the majority of it is through actually fee purchasing of properties. We have a mill levy that the voters have approved 4 different times that provides in the range of $1.25 million a year. And with that, we purchase properties. We have a set of criteria that we use, and the OSAC, the Open Space Advisory Council, is an 11-member citizen board that helps us decide where to use that money. And again, a lot of different goals that we're trying to reach, but for the most part, it's really trying to preserve that character of Summit County, the undeveloped character of Summit County and the important places and things for recreation, wildlife, all of those type goals that we're trying to pursue.
Right. And the reason why so many of us find Summit County to be so special.
Yeah.
All right. So give us an overview now of what the program achieved in total in 2016. Some of those
So a number
totals.
a bunch of totals I guess I could give. We basically protected 461 acres this year. We had 21 transactions. Over time, I've always used, or recently used, the number that we have a transaction a month, but this year we were a lot closer to 2 transactions a month, and we spent a total of about $2.3 million this year. The majority of that was on one property in the lower blue, that what we call the Doig Homestead. That was a $2 million purchase, but we got a $650,000 GOCO grant, so that 2.3 is reduced by that.
Sure.
But, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So on that long list of nearly 2 transactions a month, what are some of the highlights? And maybe Turk, you can kind of chime in here. And
Well, I think the big highlight was the Doig Meadows, which was that 250?
270.
275 acres.
Yeah.
And the Doig Meadow was very, very important. It was part of the Kenor family holding, and it really is the gateway to Heaney. And, you know,
So
the character
of
the lower blue.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on Highway 9, going past Green Mountain Reservoir, you don't quite get the intimate feel that you get when you turn in to go to Heaney. And at this time, and we hope in the future, the Doig is still being used to run cattle by one of the older family's younger members, Clay Culberth. And we just kind of felt that it was an opportunity to preserve that really agricultural ranching character down there. And we're not anti-development at all, but this was an opportunity to not see potentially 35-acre home sites go up there. Nothing detrimental about them, but to preserve that character when you went in on the Heaney Road, we thought was very important. We've got a very good relationship with the Kenora family. We've bought large tracts from them, and this took us about 5 years, and we're really happy about that. This was really well received, and obviously GOCO validated it for us by giving us the $675,000. The other not so much large purchase, but consequential purchase was the Bacon Load, which is at the entrance to the Peabody Trail system above Breckenridge. And it was an opportunity just to have one less home up high in back of Huron Heights, and to kind of make a stand of where the backcountry character was going to be there, and it's potentially going to be a good trailhead for us. And that was a very amicable transaction with the seller. It took us a while because of some financial issues, but we really liked that one quite a bit. And something we're excited about, and maybe it's only open space people can get excited about this, but we had two really good purchases with the town of Silverthorne this year. They weren't large tracts, but they were tracts up on the hillside at the western boundary of Silverthorne, kind of below Mesa Cortina and below the Ruby Ranch. And they were older tracts that did have density on them. They would have been difficult to develop, but probably unsightly if they were developed. And we were able to work with the town of Silverthorne and a real estate agent that we work with quite a bit, Steve Machinsky, and get a couple of deals done up there with Silverthorne participating. We're excited about that. We're excited about the trail potential there. There's some really good trail potential. And we're excited. This is our third purchase in 2 years with Silverthorne. And we've developed a good partnership.
Excellent.
So those were the three big highlights that we felt really good about, I would say. A lot of good little purchases that people might not be that familiar with, but these were very visible purchases that people didn't know about, but if something happened to them,
then
people would have absolutely had known about them. So.
Right. So you both have touched on this idea of various criteria or attributes of properties that make them a focus of the program that you work to acquire. Can you talk a little bit more about that and maybe kind of some of the discussions that you have on the Open Space Advisory Council about kind of weighing the value of these various properties and deciding which ones to pursue acquisition for?
You want me to do that?
Sure.
Well, view corridors paramount to us, so we have purchased even a lot of lots in the upper blue on Highway 9 that we feel maybe might be developed in 30 years. They're not really potential, they're buildable, but they're not anything that's really desirable right now, probably because things like Highway 9 is noisy. But time will come when we'll run out of lots. And again, that's an example of protecting the gateway, let's say, to the upper blue and to Breckenridge. We also, up there, bought those lots, some of them were on the Blue River, so we like water quality. And if the potential is there, even not to have fertilizers,
Sure.
it's going to help the upper blue. We do look at, with a very gentle touch, backcountry parcels that were old mining claims that philosophically one might say weren't really meant for development years and years ago and are open for development now through our backcountry zoning. But in a sense, we feel that the way to gently maybe manage some development is whatever we can buy in the backcountry. And we warehouse it, and we generally, every 5 to 7 years, will trade those to the Forest Service.
Okay.
So it becomes a little more uniform back there. So it's view corridor, trail accessibility. We had a big purchase a couple of years ago in French Creek, in French Gulch, that provided a through trail all the way to Sally Barber. We look at that. We do look occasionally at buying stuff where we can get trails and then do a flip. We did that this year with a lot in Breck Heights. So to try to be a little more concise, view corridor, kind of the natural qualities of Summit County, some general development management, trails, water quality. Am I missing anything, Brian?
Yeah, so there's 7 specific criteria that were set out in the open space plan. You're hitting them pretty well though, because one that you didn't mention is buffers between communities, so that we don't see our communities just grow together. So each of between say Dillon and Keystone, we have a number of properties in there. Between Frisco and Breckenridge, we have a number of properties, so that hopefully we won't just become the sprawl that you see in so many communities.
Sure.
Unique natural areas, so that would be wildlife corridors or important wetlands, that kind of thing. We have, trying to think the 7, but basically recreation is in there twice, kind of access, properties that expand the public lands, so like if you have 2 pieces of public land, to be able to connect those or that kind of stuff. That's another one of the criteria. So it really again goes back to that character of Summit County, and then the unique natural resources. As you mentioned, the historic, we have quite a few properties that we've bought to protect historic character in Summit County as well. Some of the old mine buildings and that kind of stuff.
Great. So let's shift gears a little bit. So one of the other main types of activities that your department works on is some river restoration and some addressing the water quality legacy of our mining past. So what happened in 2016 on that front?
Yeah, that was a really interesting project that we've been working on for well over a decade, actually, in setting it up and getting it going. But this last year, we were able to restore about a mile of the Swan River up Tiger Road out of Breckenridge. It's an area that was historically dredged, so the dredge boats went through there and basically turned the river upside down, turned it into a big gravel pile. And as far as aquatic habitat, it was pretty much missing because it would go completely dry in the summer. And this year, with the help of some consultants and a contractor, and then we had partners that we managed to raise close to $2 million with partners. Well, it was about a $2.3 million project in total. We were able to restore the stream, and just as the snow flew, we finally got all of the grass back there, and it really looks pretty neat, the whole new stream that's up there. And we could already see some fish starting to move in as the fall came. So next year we'll be back out there, probably working with some volunteer groups, also Rocky Mountain Youth Corps and others, to do some more revegetation of that site, because right now we seeded it, but that's as far as we've gotten as far as planting up there.
All right, so some major progress in 2016, and then some finishing touches to come in 2017.
And Julie, for the river restoration, I think I'm going to jump in and just add, we had stakeholders there who really helped a lot. And the big stakeholders who helped were the people who either live or are close to Tiger Road, because we were hauling material. And those people, after a little bit of give and take, were very cooperative in understanding that they needed to kind of bite the bullet this year and live with that. And then maybe a special thanks to Sam and Barb McClinigan, who own 100 acres out there, and Brian Holt from Good Time Tours, who are the big fee simple stakeholders. And I think it's important that this was a very collaborative effort monetarily, but it was a very community-based collaborative effort for people who, in a sense, gave in kind, because they listened to trucks and maybe saw a little bit of dust. And it turned out okay. It was not as bad as people thought, and it got over quicker than they thought it would. And Brian did a good job of managing that with the neighbors, I think. So
Great.
Kudos to everybody in that.
Yes, definitely. A great partnership. And I think maybe as far as a final point to end on, to note how important partnerships are in the entire open space program, and the citizens of Summit County have generously prioritized the work of this program because they value these open spaces that really do contribute to the character of our community. But then by them coming forward, it really opens up all these opportunities to leverage those resources that the citizens give us. So can you speak to that a little bit,
Yeah,
Brian?
it's truly the critical element of our success is the amount of support we get from the community, whether it be at the polls when they come and vote and help us out to actually continue the program, or coming out to volunteer. We have volunteer efforts a lot of different weekends in the summer. Again, the collaboration on projects, there's just so many different ways. We don't have a lot of money. And when you talk about $1 million, that's the average lot in Summit County.
Sure.
So it's not a lot of money, but because we're able to leverage things with grants and with the assistance of others, sometimes it's donation by a portion of the value by a landowner. There's just a lot of different ways that people contribute to the program, and that's really what makes it successful. And as you mentioned, why it's able to help really preserve the character and why so many of us are here. We enjoy the outdoors, we enjoy seeing the beauty of the outdoors. All of those things are the efforts that we're undertaking.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks to both of you for all the elbow grease it took to get that long list of accomplishments taken care of in 2016, and we'll look forward to having you back in the studio soon to talk about what you're doing in 2017.
Great, thanks so
Thank you
much.
very much.
All right, stick with us. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about how to reduce the levels of radon in your home.